What's going on, guys? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Today is 9/11, so I do want to take a quick second and just be silent in tribute to those we lost. Okay, guys, so today we are going to be talking about autographed signed cards. What's the deal with those? Why in the world are people actually paying massive premiums over the PSA 10 prices for a lot of the same cards? You know, I think it's a really interesting market. I actually would love to own some signed cards in my own collection. It's just not something I've ever thought to go after. For some people, I think that it's awesome if it's all that they collect, like if it's their niche and if they do it for their personal collection. I think that that's one thing, but I think it's another thing to exploit that part of the market and basically just take someone's signature, someone's a piece of them essentially, and that they've put on a card really for your own enjoyment and amazement, and then you just sell off their signature. I don't know, it just seems kind of sleazy to me. It's really no different than anything else, though, than flipping products and buying something and selling it at 100% markup. It's really no different, right? People are getting the signature, they wait in line, they put in the time, they get the signatures, and then they get a premium for it. I mean, it's part of the game, so maybe I'm just thinking of it, you know, just too negatively. And I typically am skeptical and negative of a lot of transactions and sales and listings and auctions. I'm always asking myself, how did it get to this point? I mean, Pokemon cards really are breaking into the sports card value, right? We're getting to a point where we've got $250,000 cards. We've got cards pushing $1 million, I think. I think the Pikachu Illustrator, I mean, that one may have come back down to earth for $500,000 for that card, but I feel like that's probably going to be the first $1 million card. Of course, we have several like subsets and prototype cards and the playtest cards that recently, not playtest, I don't mean that, just playtest. The playtest cards that have come out recently, it's just, again, skepticism is something that is inherently built into who I am. And when I saw the playtest cards, I was like, oh geez, are these even legit? CGC had the disco prints and all these different variants coming out that are really just starting to boil to the surface now. Why now? But again, Pokemon is at its peak popularity, so maybe now is the perfect time for a lot of really, really cool niche stuff to pop up in the wild. Now, we do have stuff like the playtests and other cards like the Snap cards. I think if you had a couple of those cards in like complete sets, of course you would have well over $1 million of value. I think we have complete base set first edition sets that have sold very close to $1 million, if not a little bit more than $1 million, maybe 700,000 or 800,000. So we are definitely breaking into like really high value, but there are some cards out there, like there's a legendary collection Pikachu that is authenticated and signed, I think by the original illustrator, and it's fetching a huge premium on what the card would ever fetch in a PSA 10. And this is something that I want to talk about because I do think it's relevant. I think it keeps on popping up. In the past, we've had people that have gone to have their cards signed by illustrators and pretty much ruined an event that people were going to get their cards personally signed so that they could just have it and look at it and enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is and appreciate it as a tribute to the artist. And instead, people are just getting cards signed, flipping them immediately. Like getting cards signed by Sugimori or Arita, or there was one example I was reading up on a Reddit thread because I literally had to look into like, why do people like this so much? Why do they like it so much? I do understand it. Coming from a family of artists, it makes perfect sense that people would want the original artist to sign. And in some cases, the sketches, I think, are way more valuable, right? Eventually, I think the biggest argument is beyond just the original illustrator and the artist and them putting a specific touch on a card that is out there and several people own, but only one person owns it with that specific sketch or sign way that it's signed. I understand that completely, and I think that that's really, really cool. but it just, you know, I had to look up on Reddit, like, why are people really, really into this? And you can tell the people that have their collections and it's just all signed cards, you can tell that those people are really just appreciative of what they have. And then there's other people just getting the card signed so they could say, hey, this is a 1 of 1. We're going to sell this at, you know, twice as much as it's truly worth. Or in some cases, which we've seen, 4 or 5 times, 10 times as much as it's worth. There's somebody on Instagram, The Fine Card, and really they always do these great posts. He posted something about how the same card was sold for much more as a signed autographed card. And I think back to what I was saying, because I do jump off on different tangents. Back to the biggest value creator here that I could see down the road where this stuff does really exceed in value is when these illustrators are dead and gone. When that happens, when you no longer can ever get cards signed like that again, I do think it's going to add a lot of the value to the cards that are already signed. Even basic cards, even cards like a base set unlimited Pikachu, right? I love that card. I think it looks absolutely phenomenal. I would love to have Arita sign something like a base set Pikachu that I freshly pulled out of a pack. I mean, that would be an absolute, like, I would love that. But beyond that, I do think it's cool in terms of, instead of going after, like, it's clear to me that the signature autographed cards are worth more than the PSA 10 card, than that same card in PSA 10, which is kind of funny because if we go way back, I think a year or two ago, there was an interview with King Gary, the Charizard godfather, I guess, of this hobby, and it was taken out of context by Frosted Caribou. I think that's the name of the channel. Anyways, Rattle got involved. There was a lot of drama at this particular time a year or two ago, and it was taken out of context that Gary had said that, you know, I would rather this first edition Charizard, base set Charizard, just take if I took the autograph off here, I think that it would be worth more as just the card. So there are definitely instances where some collectors actually believe the card should always be more valuable than the actual signature. But time and time again, and we've seen now that history has repeated itself plenty, when we were seeing kind of a peak price point of some of these cards in the market, it's obvious and clear that the cards that are signed and autographed are worth more than their PSA 10 counterpart, which is really awesome for a lot of collectors, because I think it's one thing if it's a PSA 10 card to be worth more than the PSA 10 variant not signed, but I think when it comes to like a raw LP copy that's just been authenticated and signed, I think that should never be more valuable than a card that is in mint condition based on what the market is. But I do think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of a disruptor in a way. Like, you don't have to go for PSA 10s or PSA 9. You don't have to go for perfection. Just go for what you like. That's been an old saying in this hobby. Just collect what you like, collect what you love. You can't go wrong. What was I going to say? I think it's a really cool part of this hobby that people can get into really on a budget. People can get cards lightly played that aren't worth much, or even just get them authenticated for $15 by PSA, or whatever it costs to just get it authenticated, probably $15. And then get it signed by one of your favorite artists, and it creates so much value right there. I think that's really cool. Is it something that I would specifically go after? Is that why I'm talking about it now? No, I'm not going to go off trying to get as many cards as I can sign. I'm not going to go out trying to buy cards that are signed, because I think that's going to be a huge market. There are so many variables at play here, but one of the biggest, I do think, where people with signed collections are going to do really, really well down the road, regardless of what condition their cards are in, or when those prolific artists are gone. Sugimori Arita. There's a name I read in the Reddit thread that I was reading, Christopher Rush. So apparently this guy had worked in Magic the Gathering, and there was a card that he actually designed in Pokemon, and I think that's really cool. Every day I'm learning something new, and I just kind of wanted to share this little bit with you guys. It's probably one of the more interesting parts of this video. The Legendary Collection Mewtwo, which this is not a reprint of any kind. This is a card that is only available in Legendary Collection. It is the Legendary Collection Mewtwo. He's kind of in a stance where he's got kind of like a psychic bolt coming out of his hands or whatever. It looks really, really cool. It's probably one of the more aggressive, hand-drawn looking Mewtwo cards out there. Really phenomenal card. That was apparently the only card that was designed by Christopher Rush, who was also a really big name in the Magic the Gathering art and design aspect and illustrations. So I think that that's really cool that we have that cross, and I wonder how many other crosses we have with newer illustrators and artists that are from, you know, maybe Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dragon Ball Z or Magic the Gathering that are now in Pokemon. I think that that stuff is going to be really cool to look after those illustrators. But it was just cool because I was reading in the thread, you know, in 2015, I think, or 2016, Christopher Rush, this really great illustrator, passed away. And so this person in this Reddit thread, which I'll pop up a, if I can remember to, I'll pop up a picture of the Reddit thread and the picture of this person's, you know, personal, small, but really a mighty collection of signed cards, and honestly a great selection of cards that were signed, great artworks. I'll try and pop that in here if I can, or it'll be in the thumbnail. But regardless, guys, I think it's amazing that people go after exactly what they like and they don't follow the hype or what other people are doing. I try to be sensible and follow patterns and trends, and so I try to do that with my own collection now, but it's just funny because I've done the same thing with my theme deck collection, right? It's a niche thing that I specifically like. It's probably one of the only things that really is unique really about my collection is that I like theme decks. I think it's kind of the same thing with signed cards. I think people that go after signed cards that truly appreciate them, like, kudos to them, like, my hat's off to them. I hope they find all the cards that they're wanting to get signed. I hope they always get a chance to have their favorite illustrator to sign the cards. But the people out there that are just profiting, just straight profiting and selling every single thing that they get signed, I think that that's kind of a net negative for the hobby. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And we have people that line up for autographs at Collecticon, and whenever I've talked to people that line up for autographs at Collecticon, whether it's for their cards or merch or a t-shirt or something, it's people that genuinely like really, really like the voice actors or the people that are the illustrators. It's people that really genuinely appreciate that kind of thing. And so I love that for the hobby. But yeah, this I want to hear what you guys think. I'm just kind of ranting here. I think it's kind of ridiculous to pay a huge premium on autographed signed cards, but at the same time, I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but I think when there's a sketch by that artist on the card, I think that that really sets it apart and makes it unique and adds a flair that no other card is going to have. And I think in those cases, it's kind of fair to have like a crazy premium on a card. It's just, I feel bad for the people that are buying into that, right? The person that is paying the premium for that, rather than just like, you could probably just send your card to the illustrator, get a hold of the illustrator. If you're willing to pay like tens of thousands of dollars or $100,000 or even thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars for a signature, I think it's worth it in some cases to maybe even just mail your cards to some of these illustrators and maybe they'll sign them. I don't know anything about that. I think you guys can add a lot of good information and knowledge in the comment section below. If this isn't something you can ever do, that makes perfect sense, right? That's someone's privacy, that's their address. They would get bombarded with probably cards that people really want them to sign if that were the case. So it's probably best that illustrators show up at shows, and that's a chance for people to get their stuff signed. I just hope it's the right people getting their stuff signed. I don't know if that makes any sense, guys, but I do think that there is a right person to get stuff signed. I have some, sorry guys, it looks like I have something on my mustache. I don't know what that is. Do I have like gray hairs coming in? I don't know what that is. Anyways, I don't know if it's just the light hitting my mustache, but had a lot of stress lately. My parents think I might have a gray hair or two coming in. Anyways, guys, just wanted to talk about that and see what you guys thought about the whole autograph thing. Like, would you ever consider collecting signed autograph cards, or is that just something that you're not interested in? And if you do collect them, what's one of your favorite things about collecting signed cards, apart from, creating monetary financial value, adding to a value of a card so that you can just flip it or resell it. But again, hats off to the people doing their thing and selling the cards too, okay? Everybody has their niche in this market, the hustle that works for them, and I respect all of that. But I definitely want to hear what people think. Are signed cards just hype, or is it just one of those things where it's like, no, if you really appreciate the artwork, you should get the cards signed? And I'm not gonna lie, if there was ever a chance where like Arita or Sugimori happened to be at like a Charlotte Collecticon, which is probably never going to happen, but if that were to happen, even at somewhere in the country, it's a couple of hours to fly there, that's something that I would love to do at some point, is just get a few of my cards signed. I think the great part about getting cards signed is that the condition really is kind of irrelevant. It's still going to be really cool to get that card signed anyways. What is that? What are those gray hairs? I'm sorry, guys, but something up with my stash. I keep seeing this little spot right here. Anyways, worried about my stash, guys. Sorry, I'm so ADD. I do think it's really cool that you can have cards that are just raw, really cool cards that, might be damaged or whatever, and you could still get them signed. And there would just be the value of like the experience, the memory, and what that means to you as a collector, as somebody who appreciates the artwork and just appreciates everything that Pokemon has done for our childhoods, and even, I guess you could say, our adulthoods too. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about signed cards. I know we've had some crazy signed card auctions recently, so if you guys want to point out anything that you thought was wild that you've seen recently, feel free. Anyways, guys, we are going to do our live stream later tonight after I get off work. We are going to open some more 151. Like, dude, I would love to get my gold stars signed by Fukuda. That would be really, really cool. For me, that would be absolutely phenomenal. But again, I would probably pick up like a damaged or lightly played copy. I would pick up a decently cheaper copy than something like a mint condition card. But for me, Rayquaza is a big one. I would love to have my Rayquaza signed by Fukuda. I would love to have all the gold stars signed by Fukuda. That would be freaking amazing. That'd be a dream come true. But who knows? Maybe someday. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Later tonight for our live stream, we will be opening more of these 151 booster bundles. We didn't have the best luck last time. We did pull this full art Mew, which we did not need. We need the hyper rare Mew, but hopefully we are going after the Nidoking and the hyper rare Mew, and I've completed the set. Anyways, I'll see you guys later tonight. Peace.